So let me get into this weekend. Hey, we got a big game coming up. However, it's been, I guess, the thorn in our side or the finger in our proverbial eye that the NFL has decided to step into the political fray and start talking about what they call social justice and taking knees and so forth. And this, everybody's been talking about it. Well, as I have said, and I have a promo that runs, that social justice is tantamount to socialism. It is the distribution of justice, wealth, and all those types of things that they put aside the rule of law. And if you had been following me on my terrestrial radio station when this all started, I went into a rant that this is not freedom of speech. What these guys are doing has nothing to do with freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is a unique, articulated thought that you may want to say, but when all of a sudden there's this common chorus line of, social justice, that's not freedom of speech. I believe what they're exercising is something still protected under the Constitution, but it is not freedom of speech. This is the freedom of religious expression because secularism and socialism are entwined, and secularism and socialism is all about social justice. That was a part of the revolution in Russia. It was a part of the revolution in France. And yes, as a matter of fact, I'll just jump ahead and say one of the things they've never taught you in modern day communism is that it actually started in France, and the French Revolution was the very first revolution that failed to impose a communist type of society. Where did it come from in France? It was the communes. The communes where the people were working together, living together because they were becoming so poor, and they basically rose up when they were starving, and that's when Marie Antoinette said, "Let them eat cake." Anyway, let me get back to the NFL here. The NFL has been basically poking us in the eye, and as a matter of fact, as an institution, I don't know who you work for, but if you work for an institution and you want to basically speak out and protest to something about your institution, whether it's a flag raising ceremony or something that your institution decides to do, your institution has every right, because every institution that I know of, and you can correct me because there may be some state that has a little bit different. I think there are right to work states and there are property rights to some jobs, but most people fall under the at-will employee. And that means that at-will employee can be fired at the will of the employer if you're not toting the line. And if they have a zero tolerance policy towards something, or they set out a policy that this is your behavior, like the NFL and their policy for the flag ceremony, which Pete Rozelle actually instituted, then all they had to do is follow that policy and then start fining them and basically saying, this is the conduct we expect from you. And with that, we're into a hard break, and time really flies when you're ranting. So I apologize, but I wanted to give you something to chew on as you get to watch the freedom of expression, or actually the freedom of religious expression. Let me just move on, because unless you want to talk about the NFL and revisit this whole thing, there's no doubt in my mind when they're all singing the same song, that is religious expression. Freedom of speech is somebody that has a very specific message that they want to speak. And what they're talking about has more to do with religious ideological ideas that they want to infuse into our government than it has anything to do with somebody being silenced or somebody that is trying to articulate some idea.